Welcome to the Successful Nonprofits Bonus Break. I'm your host, Dolph Goldenberg. The bonus break is a short episode you can listen to while taking a coffee break and get the added bonus of making you and your nonprofit more successful. Produced as a companion to our longer Successful Nonprofits podcast, the bonus break covers all of the topics you care most about: professional development, fundraising, governance, board relations, marketing, tech, and more. This bonus break is part 8 in the strategic planning series. We have also serialized these as blog posts on the Successful Nonprofits blog, so you can catch up on any episode you may have missed by downloading the audio or reading the blog post. After all of the time, money, and effort you have invested in building your new strategic plan, you definitely want to get the most from it. Obviously, you'll want to use it as a management and governance tool, but you will also want to use your new strategic plan to enhance your public relations, support fundraising efforts, attract visitors to your website, and build your social media. Of primary importance, though, is using your strategic plan as a management tool for staff and a governance tool for the board. The plan is ideally suited for staff management because it includes those quarterly goals. It's really easy to assign those goals to staff members and track the outcomes on them. And reporting on the progress toward those quarterly goals to the full board helps the board meet its governance duties. Now, I typically recommend creating a one-page dashboard that is both easy to read and not cumbersome to complete each month. And, essentially the dashboard will include items that are in the plan as quarterly goals and as annual goals. And like most dashboards, you may want to color code it. So green is on target, yellow is slower than anticipated, and red is not likely to hit the target by the deadline. Now, it is important to be honest with yourself and the board about those items that are a yellow or a red. Every organization experiences speed bumps and roadblocks when implementing a strategic plan. So people should not be shy or afraid or embarrassed to code something a yellow or a red. It happens. And what's more, reviewing your achievement with the staff and the board when they see those reds and those yellows will encourage a healthy dialogue about how to turn the reds to yellow and the yellows to green. Now, if this was the only way you used the new strategic plan, you would undoubtedly achieve the majority of the goals in your plan. But there are many other ways to derive benefit from your strategic plan. And the first is to send a press release. A new strategic plan is a great opportunity to tell the community about your new mission, vision, and key goals. In addition to sending the press release to local media, also consider associations that you may belong to and niche publications that may be interested in announcing your strategic plan. Now, at the Successful Nonprofits blog, I actually offer a sample press release from that fake organization, Ostrich Place. Now, the second thing you can do is you can share the plan with your funders. And I would actually suggest that you share the entire plan with any significant foundation or government funder who typically asks for a copy of your strategic plan as part of the application process. And I would share it, though, before your next application is due. And so literally I would send them a copy of the plan and then I would ask to schedule a time so that you can share the plan highlights with them in person. Now, what that is that's really 2 cultivation opportunities without actually asking them for money. So the first is you sent them something in the mail, which they're interested in, your plan. And the second is you've reached out to them and now you're going to be meeting them for coffee or at their office. The third thing to do is to share the plan with select major donors. So think about your major donor list. Think who might like to see a copy of your strategic plan and invite those donors to a one-on-one coffee meeting with the executive director, specifically to discuss the strategic plan. Bring a printed copy of the plan with you that you can actually give to the donor and they can take away. But keep in mind that you might want to remove some of the financial detail from the plan before sharing it. So the point is not for your donors to really get into the weeds and say, well, gee, I see that your IT expense is going up by 35%. whereas your staff expenses only going up by 25%. Why is that? Regardless, though, of how much information you choose to share that's in your plan, your donors will be impressed that you took the time to share the information with them. And again, it's another important cultivation opportunity. Keeping in mind that with major donors, you often need 5 to 7 touches before you're able to resolicit them. And this can be 1 or 2 of those touches. Number 4 is to serialize the plan on your website. I am a firm believer that you should never produce something that you only use once. And as an example, when I created these bonus break series, it was actually based on a presentation that I gave back in January to about 10 nonprofit executives and board members. So, and that presentation, of course, was entitled something like Everything You Wanted to Know About Strategic Planning But Were Afraid to Ask. And as I was putting this presentation together, I realized, wow, I could also create some bonus breaks with essentially similar content, but that would reach a much wider audience than the 10 people that I was going to be presenting to. And then as I started to work on the bonus breaks, I thought, gee, I could serialize these as blog posts too. Now, you can do the exact same thing with your strategic plan. So you can use the plan to create blog posts for your website. The environmental scan, for example, might become 4 blog posts, one about stakeholder feedback, one about the financial history of the organization, a third about the programmatic outcomes, and a 4th about fundraising outcomes. You can serialize not just your environmental scan, but you can also serialize things like your high-level overview of goals and tactics. Now, these blog posts will have SEO-rich content because they will repeatedly use the name of your organization and the keywords that people are likely to Google. Number 5 is to maximize social media attention. As you serialize the blog posts, be certain to link them on social media and tag the key stakeholders you interviewed, as well as your board, your key staff, and your consultants. All of those folks are likely to forward and share your social media posts if you tag them. And then the last one, number 6, is to announce a schedule for publishing your progress. I encourage you to select and announce a frequency for publishing your progress to funders, major donors, the media, and your social media followers. Now, you're already putting this information together for your dashboard, so it's not a lot of extra work. And if done quarterly, you will have another series of media hits, and your funders and donors will be very impressed with your transparency because you're essentially going out to the community and saying, here's what we plan to do in this first quarter, and here's what we actually achieved. Now, by taking just a few of these steps, your organization can gain significantly more benefit from your strategic plan. In fact, you'll likely have foundations and major donors asking to give you money based on the successful implementation of your strategic plan. Now that we have covered how to get the most out of your strategic plan, the next bonus break will share the role of the consultant in strategic planning. And we're going to answer that often asked question. And that is, how much should I plan on paying the consultant that facilitates our strategic planning process? Now, this bonus break and the Successful Nonprofits podcast is produced by the Goldenberg Group as part of our mission to provide board development, strategic planning, and interim leadership to help nonprofits thrive in a competitive environment. Be sure to visit our podcast website at successfulnonprofits.com or find me, Dolph Goldenberg, at successfulnonprofits.com, goldenberggroup.com, on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter. And if you think your organization is ready to begin strategic planning, reach out to me. We are recording this in spring 2018, and I am currently booking new engagements to begin midsummer. Thanks for joining us for this bonus break. I hope you gained some insight to help your nonprofit thrive in a competitive environment.
I am not an accountant or attorney, and neither I nor the Goldenberg Group provide tax, legal, or accounting advice. This material has been provided for informational purposes only, is not intended to provide, and should not be relied on for tax, legal, or accounting advice. Always consult a qualified, licensed professional about such matters.